Alloway, Scotland, 25th of January 1759. A storm is tearing through Alloway, but at the same time, a baby boy is being born in this very cottage. Little did his parents know, but that baby boy would in many years to come become Scotland's most famous poet and a legend in his own right. The baby boy born on this night was named Robert Burns. Within time, Robert would become a poet, a romantic, and a legend. In Alloway, as well as receiving the beginnings of his education, young Robert Burns' creative imagination too began to form. His mother, Agnes, would delight him by singing traditional Scots songs, and a distant cousin, old Betty Davidson, would hold him spellbound with tales of ghosts and witches. Roaming the countryside around his home, young Robert encountered the many beasts, birds and plants that were to feature in much of his poetry.
1766, when Robert was 7, the ever-growing Burns family moved to nearby Mount Oliphant Farm. Times were hard for the family, and Robert had to work hard in the fields from an early age. At Mount Oliphant and later at Lochlee, Robert witnessed his father struggling to make the farm pay and first-hand witnessed the harsh treatment of William Burns by the landowner David McClure, who twice petitioned against him in the courts. At Mount Oliphant, when Robert was 15, he wrote his first love poem, called Handsome Nell, for a girl called Nellie Kirkpatrick, who worked with him in the fields at harvest time. This was the first of many love poems Robert was to write for the women he would meet over his years as a poet.
A famous Robert Burns song is Red Red Rose, which was written in 1794. Robert Burns was a very romantic poet and had considerable success with the ladies, having 9 children with his wife alone, but many others with different ladies over the years. The first being in 1784 when Lizzie Peyton, the farm's servant, fell pregnant to him.
Robert and his younger brother Gilbert worked hard to earn a small income from the family farm, as their father, William Burns, became very ill. Following his death in 1784, the family moved to a farm in Mossgiel. Robert's real passion was poetry. Inspired by the old songs and tales he had heard in the Ayrshire countryside, he was driven to write.
Oh, Robbie, are you going to the tavern?
Go home, Hamish, I'm writing a poem. However, his financial problems continued to trouble him, which contributed to his decision to emigrate to Jamaica in 1786.
Robert had met and suggested marriage to Jean Armour, who soon became pregnant with what were to be twins. However, Jean's father didn't approve of the marriage and hounded Robert in the courts. Robert soon became infatuated with a young Gaelic-speaking woman, Mary Campbell, whom he secretly married. Robert suggested Mary emigrate to Jamaica with him and sent her to Greenock to await his arrival. He never set sail for Jamaica, however, as events were to happen that would change his life and Scottish history forever. His plans to sail for Jamaica were well advanced when events took an unexpected turn. He had been advised by Gavin Hamilton, a local lawyer, to finance the voyage by publishing some of his poems, but the success of that volume, the Kilmarnock edition, caused him to reconsider his plans to emigrate. The Kilmarnock edition was published by John Wilson of Kilmarnock on the 31st of July 1786 at the cost of 3 shillings per copy. 612 copies were printed and the edition was sold out in just over a month after the publication. With his newfound national fame, Robert decided to head for Edinburgh, where he published new editions of poetry and made a number of tours of Scotland.
Burns eventually married Jean Armour, which coincided with their move to another farm, in Ellisland near Dumfries, where Robert Burns eventually died. Burns died from a form of rheumatic fever, which was further worsened when he was sent to undertake a course of sea bathing in chilly waters. He died in Dumfries on the 26th of July, the same day his wife gave birth to their 9th child. Robert Burns may have died, but his legend was to live for many, many years to come. As can be seen here at Burns Monument in Alloway, which was erected in 1823 in honour of his life as a poet, a romantic and a true Scottish legend.